The harsh reality of following your dreams. Now, in the lexicon of the world, the general term for following your dreams, being innovative, creative, knowledgeable in certain things, is looked down upon. Typically it's all cool and people like it, right? They support it until you get to a certain age and people say, oh, well, when are you going to get a real job? Or when are you going to make money? Or how are you going to make money from this type of thing, right? And it seems to be that although more people are following their dreams and having success, probably the most we've ever seen people doing it, it still gets looked down upon. If anything, it gets looked down upon more than it did before. And I guess it makes sense, there's always going to be more people, so there'll be more people who try to follow a dream and more people who hate on people trying to follow the dream. But I kind of had this harsh realization, and this is a realization that I had previously, but it kind of came to fruition again recently. I heard it through the grapevine yet again. And this is the reality that following your dream is actually not respected, at all. And I don't mean there aren't people who won't respect you or appreciate and support your grind. I mean as in the actual process is not respected by a large majority of people around you. And if you're lucky to have good people, good family, good siblings, good friends, good partner around you who actually support it and want to see you win, that's different. But 90% of people, man, don't want to see you win. And reason being is, it's actually a lot more sadder than you think about. It's not because people don't want to see you more successful than them, or people don't want to see somebody get to the goal that you want to get to. It's solely off the fact that they know who you are and they deem that you don't deserve it. They deem what you're trying to do is so impossible and implausible that it's actually offensive that you're trying to do it. And I saw this reel the other day, and I know that this is going to sound stupid because I'm quoting a fucking Instagram reel, but it was about the fact that people will idolize somebody that doesn't even know they exist, but will hate their friends or people that they know trying to do the same thing. And it kind of made me realize, how are you hating on somebody trying to get to the point that this person is at when that person was once at your level, if not lower? Which is what's kind of crazy to me, and made me realize that there seems to be this just massive divide between people who have made it and people who are trying to make it. They get treated like outsiders, they're ostracized, they're put down. And I've kind of realized that harsh reality of nobody is your friend until you make it type of thing. And I don't mean in a way that you don't have any friends. I mean in the sense of no one wants to be around you until, you have it all. And most of the time people only want that because they want something out of you. Everybody wants to be around the cool actor or the cool rapper, or everyone wants to collaborate or know the cool YouTuber or have the cool YouTuber lifestyle. Don't get me wrong, I was one of those kids who watched the OG Clout House days, I was wanting to be like Facebanks, I wanted the bitches, I wanted the fucking off-white Jordan 1 Chicagos, I wanted to be in LA partying and having fun. I was 20, I was fucking 14 at this point. I was wanting to do that. But it's just the fact that when you see somebody who's up, you kind of have an admiration, you want to be where they're at. Yet nobody ever wants to be where the people coming up are at. They don't want to be there. Even though a lot of people who have made it talk about how much they kind of miss the come up, the enjoyment of the come up, the thrill of it, being kind of the odd one out. And to me, it's kind of although I don't think I'm at that level of, on the come up, I've ultimately seen it through come ups, through this channel, through the other one I had, through different ventures I've done, seeing people around me, nobody's doing anything remotely similar to what I am. And that's completely normal and fine. If anything, I like it more when someone follows the dream they want, whether it's a fucking social media dream or not. It's just more that when I see people, purposely not doing things they want to do, just because, societal standards are enforced onto them, it just kind of makes me think, is there a deeper meaning to why these people hate on people trying to come up so much? If you guys haven't watched some of my previous videos, I talked about this thing called tall poppy syndrome, which is a very, very known Australian, New Zealand term. It is around the world. You know, a couple people here and there, like famous people, will like to talk about it. But pretty much what the term means is that there's a poppy that grows taller than the rest of the poppies, right? It's like a flower bed. And then all the other poppies try to cut it down because they're envious of how much taller he is. Pretty much meaning that Australians and New Zealanders and other people, they cut each other down because they don't like seeing someone ahead of them. They don't like having people above them, which is what tall poppy syndrome represents. And it's kind of a metaphor for not wanting to see our own people win, which is why there's such, you know, like a divide with here versus other countries. You know, we're always pulling each other down. You know, we're not innovative, we're not creative, we're not doing anything because it's frowned upon to be that. And the problem is, like, this goes everywhere in the world. It's not just here. But it makes it even harder when you're trying to do something that's already so frowned upon, but it's just like double dosed to frowned upon because nobody does it anyway. You know, it's lame. Here, the stereotypical thing is go out, drink. Like, that's actually like what 90% of our fucking country does, I swear to God. It's just go and drink on the weekend. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it too, and most people do. But when that's your highlight to the week after working some fucking ridiculous hours, working in the most random fucking weather, I swear to God, we got some like Roblox natural disasters weather here. You know, just to go fucking slap some money on a poker machine and fucking drink like a $20 beer. Per beer, by the way. It's ridiculous. It just kind of makes me think that maybe there's just a deeper envy towards people who are actually trying to get out of that. You know, like, I think the Pluto cave analogy is also a kind of good one for tall poppy syndrome. It kind of describes where my country and specifically the people around me are at. Because, you know, people don't want to leave the cave of comfortability. You know, it's what they've known. Even if there's an outside world with so much more to see, people don't want to do that. They'd rather just stay where they're at because what they know is comfortable. And I feel like there's a bit of a trope because you need money to live and survive and pursue things. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, oh, you should just follow your dreams now because you have every resource available. Unfortunately, there's so many people who don't have that option. There's people who don't live in a household or live with a lot of money that gives them the ability to do things like make videos. It doesn't give them the ability to, you know, take a gap year off studying and, you know, go do it. There's people who have to move countries and have nothing. There's people who don't have any family or close friends or any opportunities at all and have to work, you know, and gas stations and garbage dumps and cleaners. Like, so to sit here and say, oh, you know, I'm so different is not what I want to come across as. I really want to kind of make it known that I'm fortunate to be able to do this, and so are a lot of people too. However, it's more kind of focused on the fact that there are people in situations better than you and I's who will refuse to follow what they actually want to do. And the thing is, even people who do what they want to do still get looked down. Even people taking, you know, the stereotypical route in some people's eyes still get frowned upon. You know, there are people I know trying to become top degree lawyers, and you should see how bad lawyers are to each other on the come up, you know, in university and stuff. You know, they're always trying to be at a higher level of the other person. They're putting people down because they want to be better. They want to have the best marks. They want to have the most experience. They want to have the best chance. You know, it's a lucrative industry. And I don't know shit about it, but it just makes me realize that it's no longer just doing the unthinkable that's frowned upon. The harsh reality of following your dreams is no matter what dream you want to follow, there's always going to be pessimism around it. There's always going to be negativity, envy, greed, and people putting you down. And I think it's important to look at it that way, because although that is overly negative, the point is you understand that negativity will be anywhere and everywhere. So it doesn't matter what you do, there's always going to be some fucking negative person or some negative shit around because it's inevitable. So if you go into it understanding that one day it's going to happen or one day you're going to have to deal with it, you're probably going to have a lot more clarity trying to do something or realizing how little it matters versus, you know, just getting bombarded by some random hate or some random, you know, put me down moment that might occur at some point soon. I think it's important to kind of look at it with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, you know, not every industry has negativity. You know, you might never even see negativity. You know, going into like different jobs with fame related things, you're obviously in a public eye. So, you know, hate and negativity is going to be there no matter what. Like, you're going to see it. And unfortunately, you can't really teach yourself to deal with it. All you can really do is realize that's a comment on the internet by someone who I have no correlation to and have no idea who they are. Why do I really care that much? You know, I feel like you should only really let it get to you if you feel that negativity in real life. You know, you feel that presence of dislike and discomfort when, you know, seeing people like fans and stuff. But at that point, I feel like you got to do something really bad to have people, you know, in person being so negative to you that's actually bringing you down. But a kind of closing note to this harsh reality of dreams, I want to clarify on a couple things. First of all, I'm not saying that any specific dream you follow is going to come with negativity. I just want to make it clear that there is always negativity around. Meaning, you could never experience any negativity in whatever dream or come up or pursuit you do. I just want to make it aware that it is lingering in the world. It's lingering in neighborhoods. It's lingering in households. It's lingering in old friendships and on bridges and stuff like that. Like, it is there. You just might not be aware of it. You know, kind of an ignorance is bliss moment where it's actually better if you don't notice it. But I just want to make it aware that if it does ever randomly slap you in the face and appear, just be prepared to cop it. You know, it's not going to last forever. It's not like some virus that's going to kill you. It's there, and we have to learn to live with it. Unfortunately, it's just the yin and yang of life. I also want to make it clear that it's kind of a harsh reality, and it is a pessimistic look. However, I don't look at it like in a pessimistic way. I don't look at life as, oh, you know what, no one believes in me. I hate everybody. Fuck you all. I'm going to be the solo dolo. I'm going to make it alone. I don't look at it that way. You know, I have good people around me, and you guys probably do as well. It's just unfortunate that, like, everybody kind of has the same story where somebody's making fun of someone if you do try to share your ideas or, you know, use whatever kind of influence and platform that you do currently have or any resources around you to try and push what you want to do out there, especially in industries outside of stuff like social media, music, you know, acting, art and all that. I mean, even like what people would call generic jobs or paths and stuff like law, you know, med school, stuff like that. Even people who use their connections or try their very hardest, you know, people who study all the time, even they get hate from people saying, oh, why are you studying all the time? Or why aren't you going out or this or that? Even people doing the quote unquote go-to good path still get hate from people. Because there's always envy at every level. It doesn't matter how fucking famous, rich, or old you are. There's always going to be somebody who's jealous of what you're doing. And I'd be wrong to admit it. I've never been envious of somebody. And I was having a conversation with my friend the other day, and I was actually talking about Ice Spice, I think it was. I was talking about how come Ice Spice can have all these millions from doing, you know, nearly nothing compared to some other people in music who make so much better stuff. You know what I mean? And even though, like, you know, it really wasn't that deep and it was just kind of a one-off conversation, it kind of made me think about it and saying, damn, even I'm here sitting, this person doesn't deserve it. So it happens, you know, people like to put other people down, you know, even if you're not doing it on purpose, it's always lingering. Final note before I leave this video. One time I had a YouTube channel. It was my old one. This is before I had any success or anything. They actually, like, someone I knew sent the link to my YouTube channel in a Discord chat. And I know that all the people were, like, it was a bunch of people on the call, and I know they were making fun of it. I actually went and privated videos that I wasn't proud of on my channel. Like, I didn't delete, I privated them. But I went and privated videos that I wasn't too happy with. And even thinking about it now, like, I remember back then just feeling kind of just upset about it. Feeling like, yeah, you know, these people making fun of me, you know, they're probably laughing at me, and it just kind of put me in a sour mood. But, you know, look at me now. I don't interact with any of these people. I never hear anything from these people. My other channel did great for what it did. Currently making this channel, you know, I've got people listening to my stories and ideas and stuff. So it kind of made me think, well, yeah, sure, I had that negativity and, you know, those down moments, but ultimately, where did it lead me? Even at the level that I'm at, I'm still able to enjoy so much of these different things. You know, you don't need to be at the top of whatever industry to have those good moments and those things you appreciate. But yeah, I think that's the most important thing. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.